I just thought I'd make like a little video venting while I eat my avocado toast and chickpeas. There's a feeling that's in my energy field right now. There's my emotional field, and it's very loud. And I don't want to be feeling this right now, and I don't want to process it right now, but I know that I have to, because it's not just gonna fucking go away. So, basically, ever since I was little, I'm gonna just start from the beginning. Ever since I was little, I guess I just went through like a super, like, you know, traumatic childhood. Like, I experienced a lot of trauma, a lot of sexual trauma, a lot of physical trauma, emotional trauma, mental trauma, just all the traumas you can think of. Like, I've probably most likely experienced it, right? And so, growing up, this has made it to where I've kind of built this shell for myself. No, I didn't kind of, I literally built like, ooh, somebody's singing their lungs out. I'm snapping, but I can't, so pretend. But damn, this is good. So yeah, I built this shell for myself as a means to, like, I guess, protect me. You know, I lived in a very controlling atmosphere growing up. And not just like, because I don't like to say like atmosphere, because by atmosphere, I guess it makes it feel like it was just like one household. I guess my entire childhood was controlled by other people, by my family, by my mom, my parents, by my friends, even kind of by myself. But I guess just like a lot of the external world controlled me, and they all kind of honestly used me kind of as like a little puppet with the strings, and they kind of controlled my moves, they controlled my actions, they controlled how I thought, they controlled how I feel, they told me what was appropriate to feel, what wasn't appropriate to feel. They told me what I could think and what wasn't appropriate to think, what I could say, what I was not allowed to think. They very much just controlled me. They controlled my every moves, and it just it hurts, because in a lot of the ways, when you're controlled from literally birth till, you know, you're about 14 years old, it fucks you up, because you give so much of yourself to the world that you don't even know who you are anymore. You honestly become like a shapeshifter, and you become who your abusers want you to be, become who these people who desire and take so much from you, you become who they need you to be. And it's just, I literally wrote like an essay about this, about how when a child is abused, and they are abused throughout adolescence into adulthood, they will create a fake personality, a fake persona that best suits their abuser's wants, needs, and desires. Literally quoted, my words, bitch. But, so yeah, more or less, no, not fucking more or less, bitch, more. I fucking did that. And so, I did that, you know, and I said, my mind just said I did that to myself, but really, in a lot of ways, not in a lot of ways, literally all the ways, I was doing it to protect me. I was doing it to keep me safe, to make sure, you know, that I was giving them what they wanted, so that way I wouldn't get reprimanded for, like, I feel so fancy, like, I'm smart, okay? But I felt, you know, like, it's not even just like I felt like I needed to do that. I literally had to do it to survive, you know? Wait. Oof. Something about this meat is making me burp. I love having all of these, you know, freaking allergies when it comes to food. It's the best. Living my life, it's best. But anyways, back to the, yeah, so I guess I just like, you know, whoa, my computer just died. That was weird. I just, you know, I created these personas. I created personalities, multiple personalities too, multiple masks, multiple personas, characters, multiple versions of myself to keep me safe from being hurt, to keep me safe, because I knew that, like, oh, damn, to keep me safe from being abused and ugh, I don't want to say it, to keep me safe from getting hurt, you know, by people. And that meant, you know, my friends, my family, my mom, my dad, like people who like were supposed to be there for me, bitch, they weren't. And so, you know, I had to create these personas to make, you know, to make it to where, you know, I would make them happy and I would make them feel fulfilled and satisfied with who I was. I always felt so much pressure on me and so much anxiety and literal paranoia when it came to how people perceived me and how my family perceived me, how my caretakers perceived me, multiple caretakers, because I've had multiple. I always like held so much fucking paranoia, like crippling fucking anxiety from a young age. I'm talking like 5 years old, probably fucking younger, but I blocked that shit out. I've held so much paranoia on how they perceive me, on how they see me, because I wanted them to be satisfied with who I was and satisfied with me as an individual, because I knew that if they weren't satisfied with me and if I wasn't being perfect for them and if I wasn't up to their standards and acting and talking and feeling and being exactly who they wanted me to be, they put me into a fucking mold and I became that mold. I fit into that mold, you know? And so I just like felt so crushed by the weight of it all. It's kind of making me emotional, because it's like when you feel it, like when you're in this experience, like you understand how painful it is and how fucking hard it is, because you lose track of who you really are, because you're being all of these different things for all of these different people and you don't have control. You're like totally unempowered and you're totally powerless against these people who fucking control you. So I guess when I rant like this, I forget to breathe, so I'm like, give me a minute, bro. Sometimes my actions just crack me up. I'm gonna get into a story, something I just did like 30 minutes ago that's actually like giving me anxiety. That's what's triggering this. So yeah. I wish you guys could hear the person singing. They always sing and they sound so fucking good. I'm like, slay, slay. I have like a hunch of who it is, but I'm not sure. Wait inside. Am I the only one that will literally wash their clothes from their blankets just for me to use that as like a napkin, and then I'm like dirty, looking like a freaking mole rat over here with stains and shit on me. Oh my god, I feel so dirty and gross and nasty when I do it too, because I'm over here with like dirty fingers and like a stain-filled shirt. Why am I being so judgmental to myself? But let me get back to the tea. So yeah, like I said, just growing up, having to always... I see a picture of myself. I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna cry. So, damn it, these blankets are getting stuck. Bruh, I'm too tall for this shit. I'm gonna show you a picture of me when I was a little... Okay, Elsa doesn't want to be seen. That's me when I was a little girl. And I guess, yeah, seeing pictures of me when I was little honestly just makes me really sad. Like, I can't have them up. Like, even looking at this triggers me, and I just like, I always put the photos down, or I'll hide them under my bed or something, because I just like seeing them just super, it triggers me, and it just makes me extremely sad, and it hurts, you know. And so I try not to look at them. I try to keep them at a distance. And I guess growing up, I always wondered, like, oh, now that I'm older and I started to like love my inner child, that girl, you know, I started to love her and respect her and reparent her and all this stuff, you know. I forgave her, and so like I wonder, like, why is it still so hard for me to look at her? Like, I look at her and I physically feel like angry and mad and disgusted, and like I'm like, why? Because I'm like, I don't feel like that. I don't feel that way toward myself. I would never feel that way toward my sweet, beautiful baby girl, because she's beautiful and she's so fucking special, and I love her with my entire being. Until now I know why it's so hard for me to look at pictures of myself when I was a little girl, you know, when I was a little girl, quote unquote, wink wink. And I actually also wrote a book, a children's book, and one of the main characters, her name is Melody Ariel Lavender, and I fucking hate that book and I hate reading it. And I was just like, it's a beautiful book, there's nothing actually wrong with it, and it has a gorgeous message. But until recently, I realized like why I hate that book. It's because the main character is a girl, and the main character is me. The whole story is like it's a depiction of my life, and it's very realistic, it's very special to me. But I begin to understand the more that I reflect why I fucking hate, you know, looking at this picture, for example. And the reason why I hate it is obviously because I'm trans, you know, because, you know, and it's not like I've been trans, like, obviously I've been trans my whole life, but I've been out for, like, to myself for maybe, like, a few months, you know, maybe 4 or 5 months is when I really started questioning, and I was like, oh, shit. But now that I, like, you know, begin to reflect more, I begin to, like, understand that I am trans, and I think I just hate my inner child, and I hate who I was as a child, because who I was wasn't really who I was, you know. That little girl who had to go through all of that, that wasn't really me, you know. And so growing up being a closeted trans person, it was not safe for me to come out, you know. And I feel like I always knew, you know, I always knew that I was trans, and I always knew that I was different, and I always knew that there was something, the voice in my head just did wrong, because growing up, hold on, my toenails the acrylic on my toes are starting to fall off, and there's like a piece of nail like coming off. It's actually kind of gross but super satisfying. So yeah, I guess I just, I always knew that I was trans, but it was never safe for me to like actually like be trans, and embody that. And it was impossible, and so I think that deep down I always knew that's who I was, but I buried it and I hid it as deeply as I fucking could, because I knew that it wasn't safe for me to be out. I knew that if I were to be out, people would judge me and people would bully me, and it's just, I wouldn't have been accepted, and it would have probably led to depression and probably suicide. Which is why I think that this is getting deep, but which is why I hid so deeply. And I hid myself because I didn't want people to hate me and judge me. And I think that I was a miserable child. I had a miserable childhood. I was a miserable person, and most honestly, even sometimes today, I feel miserable, and I always wondered, like, why? Like, I put so much work into myself, and I try so hard to be happy. It's like I almost had to like try so hard to be happy. I had to try to be a happy person. Even to this day, it sometimes feels like I have to fight for like I have to try hard to be happy. But more when I wasn't out, I was so miserable and so unhappy. And I never quite understood why. Like, I would journal and I'd meditate and I'd do my shadow work and I'd love myself so much and I'd fill my cup up and I'd do all these things that like were so good for me, but yet none of it actually ever made me like super fulfilled as a person, and none of it actually ever made me like, oops, my computer died. Nope, it did not. None of it actually ever made me feel like less miserable about myself and feel like a bit like happier about myself. And I think that I just always had this like inherent like sense of fucking self-hatred. And I thought for the longest time, I thought that the reason why I hated myself so much, and the reason why I, in the past just hated who I was as a person, was just because like I grew up fucking super insecure and was like bullied really bad. But even though like I've been working through all that trauma and letting go of all that fucking shit that doesn't serve me, I was still so fucking unhappy and still hated who I was. And it wasn't until like a few months ago when I was like, holy fuck, I'm literally trans. That's why I hate myself. And so I guess coming out, it's been like really liberating and really nice, because stuff is starting to make sense, and it's starting to like make sense why I had a hard time accepting myself fully or playing the standards of a woman, and it just makes so fucking much sense now. Hold on. And so yeah, I guess I came out as trans, and I'm still like having a hard time accepting it. I'm freshly trans, like, and I guess I'm not freshly trans, I'm freshly out as trans. I've always been trans, and looking back on my childhood, I understand like why I was such an unhappy child and why I had such a hard time like being happy. And like, it's just sad because I deserve so much more than that. I deserve so much more than I was given, And I think that in a lot of ways, it's still really hard for me to be totally trans because I'm scared, And it's, I guess I'm still living under the pressure, the mental and emotional pressure of like, I'm still living under the pressure of, all of the personas and all of the masks that I have, that other people put on me. And I still really fear what my family thinks about me, what a lot of people think about me, what they're gonna think of me as being trans and shit. I still really struggle with that because I'm not out to literally anybody in my family, and I'm afraid of telling them, you know? Because I know that they're gonna accept me, especially my mom, which is so fucking insane because my mom was like, honestly, my mom is the person who's hurt me the most in my life, and yet she's like one of the most accepting, loving people that I know, but she's like so traumatized in herself that she has a hard time expressing herself, so it's a whole thing. But I need like something to wipe myself off because I can't use this hoodie anymore. It's getting gross. I don't think I have anything. This bag will do. It's from a blood drive. So yeah, I guess now the liberating thing that I'm learning to let go of, and the things that I'm letting go of are just these personas that I had to live in, and these personas and these characters that I played. One sec. They had rules, and they had, you know, they had roles, and they had, how do I describe? They had roles that they had to play. They had, you know, a lot of responsibilities and a lot of, I don't even know how to describe it, but they just basically had so many things that they had to do to uphold that, you know? They had things they couldn't do, things they could do, things they could say, things they couldn't say. And so now that I'm older, I'm having to like unlearn all of that and like shut it out. And I think the biggest reason why I do vent and I post these videos is because it helps me a lot to just like let it out. And I also just like to think that like people are out there and maybe they're going through the same thing, or maybe they're in it, they're still in it, they're not out of it like I am, you know? They're not safe like I am. I like to post these videos because I feel like they help those people, and I wish that I was there. I wish that, you know, I had somebody like me there when I was in that place. So I want to be that person for you, because you're not alone. And you're not doing this alone, and you're gonna get through it. And I know it's super fucking hard, but you just gotta keep hanging on. I know that's such a bullshit sentence, especially when you're in it and it's so hard. But I think that, well, I know that you're gonna be okay, and you have no choice but to believe and to accept that life is gonna get better for you. That things are gonna be okay, and you're gonna be okay. It gets better, I promise. But if you're still in it, I'm so sorry for what you're going through, and I want you to know that it's temporary. Whoa. I just like swallowed a piece of meat without chewing. It was weird. And so yeah, I think that I'm learning to let go of those personas, and I'm learning to let go of those personalities and all those expectations. And it's not easy, you know? It's really hard to, when you've been playing a character and playing pretend your whole life, it's fucking hard to let it go, because I almost have grown comfortable in the pain. You know, it's kind of like when you're depressed, and I feel like I know a lot of people who go through this. Like I know a lot of people, I don't know a lot of people who go through this personally, but I know a lot of people go through this. Like, it's almost like when you're depressed and then you start to get better, you kind of miss like the pain, you miss the sadness, because it became so comfortable. So you'll kind of self-indulge and you'll do things that aren't good for you, just because you kind of miss the feeling of being sad, because it kind of felt comfortable. And so that's kind of, I forgot what I was talking about. It's alright, it's just not meant to be. But yeah, I feel like there are a lot of things that like I want to do, and a lot of things I want to experience, and a lot of things that my heart's calling me towards, and a lot of things that Noah, who I really am, wants to do. But it can be hard because I'm still in the process of learning to, and physically and mentally and emotionally letting go of these things, that these personalities and these expectations and these roles and these responsibilities that this little girl who was kind of forced on me had to play. And so I'm learning to like let go of that fucking costume and be who I really am. And so it's kind of really painful, and it's sad to have to let it go, to have to pull that off of me, because I honestly I grew to love it, you know. I became comfortable in it, you know. I became comfortable in it, and I grew comfortable in that skin. And so it's painful to let it go, because a lot of the times I'm like, what if this isn't the right choice? What if I'm abandoning her? What if I'm hurting her by letting her go? And so I feel really in a lot of pain, and I'm really sad because I know that it's painful to let go of her, but I know that in letting go of her, it's going to be the best thing for me, and it's going to be the thing that most serves me, and it's going to be the thing that makes me the happiest, you know. And so I'm watching this tarot reading right now by Iso Tarot. If you love a bad bitch who reads tarot and always has the flyest nails, you have to watch her, because her videos are always so on point. This is the one that I'm watching right now. Whoa. Whoa there. This is the one I'm watching. I love her. She's such a badass. She's a baddie, and she probably has a baddie. She's so gorgeous, but I love her. And this video that like inspired me to make this, and to really what triggered me. And she mentioned this part where it was like, you know, either you're gonna have to choose, you know. I might as well just actually play it because I don't feel like talking anymore.
It's just not meant to be there. It's just what you want to change, or you needing to prove yourself. What I truly want, what I truly desire. Like the 10 soulmates, we have the word gift giving. Some of you back needing to prove yourself. It's a that made you feel like you weren't, maybe you could have what not meant to be there. So love it. Okay, so let's just go. This up to you. It kind of depends on what you believe in. You actually, if it's you want, and realizing like what's the point of
my focusing
this
face?
misery, especially if it's not a romantic relationships made you of this go. It might be ideas of who you thought you had, like shut it. And I feel like if you have any insecurities about how people view your life, I feel like there's going to be a lot more unapologetic energy around like, this is me, this is what I want. You are very Camp Rock coded. This is real. This is
Camp
you,
Rock.
and you're exactly where you're meant to be.
Lit.
And you're going to let the light shine on you. And I definitely think that there's going to be a bit of an ego death in this process.
And that's
where you
what I'm
realize
going
that
through
maybe
right now.
your ego was attached to certain ideas of who you thought you had to be. And it's going to be really liberating to let that go. It might be kind of painful for your ego. It might be kind of like, I'm letting go of this. But it's letting go of what was never yours in the first place, and what could have never made you happy. And I think that the rewards for this are much more prosperity, genuine fulfillment, and soul connections that fill you with joy. And this can be like friendships, romantic relationships, family. Like, this is getting what you want and having it all. And also realizing that like you don't have to accept subpar circumstances because you think that that is all you deserve. There's definitely in this energy an experience of starting to be unapologetic about what you want, and realizing like, what's the point of this misery, especially if it's not, especially if even like the end goal isn't what I truly want, what I truly desire. Like the 10 of Cups is genuine fulfillment, and we literally have the word fulfillment here. We have the word soulmates, we have the word gift giving. Like, you've given a lot of yourself to the world, and I feel like it's time to take some of you back and realize that it's really not about you needing to change or you needing to prove yourself. It's about letting go of those labels and identities and beliefs that made you feel like you weren't enough in the first place to have what you want, or made you believe that you had to do things in a certain way and then maybe you could have what you wanted. You can just have it now. And that starts with like getting rid of what's not meant to be there. So love it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get...
That is literally what I just said. I love it. It's funny because I was watching this video, and when she went over this part, I was watching this video and I guess I understood what she was saying. Like, I had a hunch that she was saying you have to let go of these things that don't serve you in order to be fully fulfilled. And I had a hunch that it was because it was me letting go of, the girl identity that that was forced upon me, that was assigned to me. Also letting go of, like, letting go of what I thought my sexuality was, and just accepting the fact that, like, I am gay. I'm gay. I'm a gay man, and it's so painful to accept that. Like, it's gonna be liberating once I get past this part, but it is painful to accept, because I have a lot of love for a lot of women in my life, but I just don't I'm not sexually attracted to them, and so it's hard, it's a struggle. And it's hard to, it's hard when I do things that I actually want to do and I'm left feeling miserable for making those decisions and guilty and ashamed of myself, because a part of me kind of beats myself up because it's not what she would have done. It's not what she would have done. It's not what they would have told her to do. It would have been perceived as bad. But I think that, it's... Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm, like, distracted because I'm trying to, like... I took out the staple from my bag and now I'm trying to, like, put it back because I have ADHD, so, like, these things absolutely entertain me. Like, I'll be here for the next 2 hours trying to put this staple back into the bag. I love myself. I'm so funny. But yeah, so when I do these things that, she wouldn't have done, I still feel bad because I'm like, I'm doing something naughty. I'm doing something bad right now by flirting, or by asking people for their Instagram, or by trying to hang out with people, or by living my life, or by having sex and doing drugs and doing all these things that are just exactly what I'm supposed to be doing at 18 fucking years old. Like, I'm a fucking 18-year-old boy. Like, why? This is normal. Like... So yeah, I guess I'm just trying to work on it, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that if you watch this, it brings you some clarity, or maybe some peace of mind, or maybe even just a little bit of validation if you're going through this as well. Like, I hope you know that you're not alone, and you're gonna be okay, and you're gonna figure it out. Peace.